Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'd like to talk to you tonight about the Recreation Council of Greater St. Louis. And one of our strong mottos is leisure without limits. We want to help everyone find their passions in recreation. That is core to our mission. So tonight I'll talk a little bit of the history of the Recreation Council, and then I will talk about how the Recreation Council assists families in our area, and then why recreation is so important for people with disabilities. The history of the Recreation Council is we are a nonprofit organization. We were formed in 1983, so we have been around about 43 years. Hard to believe that we've been around so long. We serve residents of St. Louis City, St. Louis County, and St. Charles County, and we are funded by the Senate Bill 40 boards in those three counties. In St. Louis City, it's the St. Louis Office for DD Resources. We call it DDR. It is the Productive Living Board, PLB, in St. Louis County, and the Developmental Disabilities Resource Board, DDRB, in St. Charles County. That is where our funding comes from. Our mission is that we support choice in recreation. We want everyone to find their recreation passions, whether it be sports, dance, music, cooking, swimming, camps, anything that they enjoy, anything that is really going to allow people to be a part of their community and enjoy themselves in recreation. We work with folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities. That is who our funding is intended for. How do we assist families? We assist families in many ways. Information and referral is probably where we spend a lot of time. We talk with parents and families on the phone. We email with parents and families and participants. We try to help people find the programs they're looking for. Many times they'll call us and ask for a program for, say, a young child, or say for a teenager that might be a little harder to find, and we will help them find programs, whether they're looking in a certain area or for certain time frame, whether it's summer or winter or spring, fall. We will help them find those activities in the community, the activities that best match the needs for their family member. So we spend a lot of time doing information and referral. Excuse me. We provide vouchers, which this is kind of the meat and potatoes of what we do. This is our funding. We provide funding from those Senate Bill 40 boards. The funding comes through us, and we then help families using these vouchers to go to overnight camps, to day camps, to any recreation programs year round. And we'll talk a little bit more about those vouchers in a moment. We also provide publications. We have a weekly listing of free and fun activities in the community. If you're interested in that, let us know, give us a call, send us an email, and ask us to add your email to our weekly newsletter distribution. We are happy to do that. We also maintain our website to help families find recreation opportunities. We conduct community presentations as we're doing tonight, and we do that very often. We attend all kinds of school fairs and community fairs, summer opportunity fairs, just to make sure that all the families who need our funding and need our help will know about us. And last but not least, we do fundraise to provide recreation scholarships. Those scholarships are basically for people who might not otherwise be eligible for our funding. Our funding requires a participant to have an intellectual and or a developmental disability. And if they do not, if perhaps they have a physical disability, they can still contact us and talk to us about a one-time per year $100 recreation scholarship to help with the recreation program. So let's get into our voucher programs. This is, like I said, the meat and potatoes of what we do. First, I'll talk about, we have some voucher programs that are uniform across our three counties that we serve: St. Louis County, St. Louis City, and St. Charles County. And those are the vouchers that you see here. Overnight camp, we can assist with funding for 1 week per year of overnight camp, or 2 sessions of an overnight mini camp. Some camps do have 2 and 3 day mini camps. And if your family member would like to do a mini camp, sometimes the mini camps are sort of a segue into a week of overnight camp. It's a way in. Sometimes kiddos are a little young, or they have not been away from home. And so trying out a mini camp would be a really great way to kind of get into that being away, that sensation of being away from home. So our overnight camp funding is for all ages. We send people to camp from young ages all the way up to 100. We had someone almost 90 that we sent to overnight camp a few years ago. So all ages for the overnight camp and mini camp voucher program. The funding amount varies. It varies by county and it varies by the camp. We typically can pay up to, in St. Louis City and County, up to about $900 for a week of overnight camp for those 2 mini camps. In St. Charles County, it is $700 for that week of camp. So adventure or experiential voucher program is our next one. This is a voucher program only for ages 18 and up. And this is adult programs. It's for adult adventures. There are several organizations that take people with disabilities on weekend trips, weekend adventures, sometimes even up to more longer duration than a weekend. Sometimes they're 5 days. We have several of these organizations. They're facilitated trips. They must be a facilitated trip. We can't pay for like a family vacation. But this funding is up to $730 for an adventure, 1 per fiscal year. And I have to say, our fiscal year it's a little different. It's not on the calendar year. It runs from October 1st through September 30th. So we are in our fiscal year of FY26, and it will end in the end of September this year. Our care voucher is also for all ages. And this voucher is for pretty much any type of recreational program. This can't be used for therapeutic programs or even for therapeutic recreation. It is recreation programs only. We can fund up to $350 per fiscal year for just about any recreational activities in the community. They can be specialized programs, meaning just for people with disabilities. They can be inclusive programs, meaning people with and without disabilities recreating together. It can be for pretty much any type of program. We can even help with paying for community college classes that are continuing education classes, not for grades. We can even help pay for that. Through the care voucher, we pay for music lessons, dance classes, yoga classes, sports programs, swim lessons, summer day camps. This can be just about anything recreational that you can think of. It's year round. This one goes year round. Unlike the overnight camp and mini camps, they are typically in the summertime. Care voucher program is for year round activities. So it doesn't have to be applied to one program. It could be applied to many different programs. So if someone takes, say, monthly music lessons, we can help with that fee, that monthly fee. If you take a class that is, say, $100, your copay would be 10%. We would pay 90%. So if it was $100 class, we would pay 90. You would pay 10. Then after that class is over, you could apply for additional funding for another class. You could apply it all the way up until you get to that 350 maximum for the year. Our next voucher program is our recreation supports and personal care voucher. And this is for all ages also, and it helps it helps the family pay for a recreation support person to attend an inclusive program with your family member. If your family member needs some behavioral support or some personal care support, say you would like to send them to a YMCA day camp, but they maybe need help getting changed in and out of a swimsuit. Maybe they need help with lunchtime, or they might need some behavioral help kind of staying on task. You can hire a recreation support person and we can help with that funding. This funding is not meant to cover the entire cost. It is meant to assist the families. That funding can be utilized up to 80 hours at $8 an hour. If you would like to utilize it for $10 an hour, that would be fine, but it'll reduce the number of hours. The total award would be 640, no matter, kind of how you spread it through the hourly wage that you pay. Now, if you do use our recreation supports personal care voucher program, we do always recommend that you do a background check on anyone that you are hiring to be with your family member. That's very important, and we can help with that. We can help with that, the cost of that background check. Okay, so those programs that we just saw were for all of the 3 counties that we serve: St. Louis City, St. Louis County, and St. Charles County. There is another program called Extended Day Voucher Program, and this is only available for St. Louis County and St. Louis City families. And it helps with, it is sort of our after school program. It's for ages 13 to 21. For if you've got a child who fits into that age range and needs a little extra help after school or before school. The rules are a little different in St. Louis City and St. Louis County. In St. Louis City, you can only use up to 3 hours a day. In St. Louis County, on days that the school is not in session, you can use more hours than that, up to 9 hours a day. The total number of hours for this program, and this program only goes through the school year, so it goes from the end of August through the end of May. The funding is up to 525 hours maximum. You can apply for as many hours as you believe you'll need, and it is $6 per hour. We know that $6 per hour doesn't cover the entire cost. It isn't intended to cover the entire cost. It is intended to assist families whose kiddos need a little extra help. This program is only available for families who have all parents in the home working outside the home. You can't be working inside the home, and the caregiver that you hire cannot live in the home. It can be a relative, but cannot live in the home with the child. And our last 2 voucher programs are for St. Louis County families only. And the summer socialization, I'll talk about that one first, because that is also for ages 13 to 21. And that one is very similar to the one I just spoke about, our extended day or after school program. It's very similar, only it's during the summer. And it is for parents who are working outside the home during the summer months. And the family would choose a provider, basically a support person who would take their child out into the community, choosing recreation programs and care as they choose, and we would help pay for that. The hours vary, and if you're interested in that program, please give our St. Louis County coordinator a call or an email, and she would be happy to talk you through that program. The summer voucher program is the last one. This is, as I said, only open to St. Louis County families. And it is for school-age children. They can be 5 through 20, as long as they are returning to school in the fall. And the funding for this is, we will pay for a summer program. The program has to take place between May and August, so a summer program only, and it pays half the cost of the summer program up to a $500 maximum. Like I said, only for St. Louis County, only for school-age kiddos who are returning to school in the fall. But that is a really great way to help pay for another summer program. If your child has already used the care voucher and utilized that maximum 350, then they could also utilize a summer voucher and we'll pay for half of the cost of that program. Who is eligible for our funding? We help people with intellectual and or developmental disabilities. They must have a verified disability. We will take you through all the eligibility. It's very short, very concise. We've got it down to a science. We can help you very quickly figure out if your child or family member is already eligible. Many times when you give us a call, we can look up right then and there whether your family member is already eligible, and many times they are. If they're not, we can help you get that eligibility documentation. We upload it to our funders portal. They make the determination, and that typically happens within 1 to 2 days. The eligible participants have to reside in one of the 3 counties that we serve, St. Louis City, St. Louis County, or St. Charles County, and they must fill out an application for every activity. So as I was talking before about our care vouchers, you could use several of them until you get up to the maximum of 350. We ask that you fill out an application, a funding application for each one of those activities. We have to have each one of those documented by a signed application. The application is very simple and must be signed by either the participant, if the participant is their own guardian, or if not, if the participant has a guardian, it must be signed by the guardian. A couple of notes. There are age restrictions on some of our voucher programs, like the Adventure, you have to be over 18, and then the school age programs, you have to be of school age. For voucher programs, as I said, that require a caregiver, it's up to the family or the participant to find their own caregiver. And we always recommend background checks for any caregiver that will be spending time with your family member. How do you apply for funding? Eligibility can be determined with one of the following: a Department of Mental Health number. That's the easiest, quickest. That's required for all of our St. Charles County residents, but not for St. Louis County and St. Louis City. For St. Louis County and City, we can use an eligibility form that is filled out by the participant's doctor or doctor's office. And we can take you through that. It's very simple. You just send it, fax it over or email it over to your doctor's office. It's a 1-page, they sign it and they send it back to you, and then you just give it to us. We upload it to our funders portal. And like I said, 1 to 2 days, we get a determination of eligibility. Very simple. If you would prefer to give us the IEP of a school-age child or an IFSP from a first steps, a child who's in first steps, we can utilize those. However, since those have expiration dates, there will be an expiration date in the portal so that when your child gets to a certain age when that IEP or the IFSP expires, we'll have to go through the eligibility process again. So having the eligibility form filled out by the doctor is probably the quickest and easiest way. Then we don't have to do it again. We don't have to revisit that. Funding applications may be found on our website. You can either print it out, complete it, and mail it to us. You can print it out and fill it out and email it to us. You can fill it out electronically via our website, and that is for returning participants. So you'll if you want to do that on our website, you'll have to give us a call first so that we can make sure you're eligible or your family member is eligible. How do you find summer programs? And there are several ways to find programs. You can give us a call at the Recreation Council. We can help you find appropriate programs. You can ask friends, relatives, teachers, therapists for recommendations for summer programs. You can search 2 wonderful websites that we give out quite often. One is called blueprint4.com and the other is called fun4stlkids.com. And they are really terrific because they will allow you to use search filters to look up an age range, location within the community, special interests, like you could look up swim programs, or you could look up summer day camps, things like that. You can put in filters, and it will filter out everything and help you find a listing of great programs. There is another way. We always recommend going to your Parks and Recreation department, to their summer activity catalogs and websites, for their upcoming summer programs. That's a great way to find great inclusive camps and summer programs. So now I'd like to talk a bit about why recreation is so important for people with disabilities. And, if you think about it, when do we all have the most fun? We all have the most fun when we are participating in leisure activities that make us happy. And for people with disabilities, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same benefits, health benefits, social and physical benefits. They learn new skills, find new hobbies that they love, and feel a part of their community. And when they are feeling a part of their community and learning something new and discovering something new, many times they meet peers with common interests and develop friendships. That's the natural way. This slide is my own daughter who met a friend at a camp that they had in common, a music camp. And this was really her first friend, and his first friend. And it was really just a beautiful thing to see. Leisure and recreation is so important for everyone. And what is inclusion really? I think we all hear the word inclusion, and what it really means is just that everyone deserves the chance to have fun together, to laugh together, to learn together. It's nice when everyone feels included. It's so important. Inclusion is so important. And the more we include people with disabilities, the more we'll understand about them and about ourselves. 1 in 5 people in the United States has a disability. That is, that's a fact that means disability touches so many people in this country. And it's wonderful when we all can learn about disability and how to make connections and how to make friendships. And finding your passion in life, especially your recreational passion, is so much easier when you can just try everything and you can look for friendships and that sense of community everywhere you go and everything you try. For more information about us at the Recreation Council, I've put all of our coordinators and myself on this last slide. Carol Callahan is our St. Charles County coordinator. Rachel Hickey is our St. Louis County coordinator. And Rachel takes care of all of the St. Louis County voucher programs except overnight camp and adventure. Randy Schreier is our St. Louis City County coordinator. He takes care of all the city programs, but then he takes care of overnight camp for city and county and adventure for city and county. And then I am the executive director. I have really enjoyed talking to you about the Recreation Council tonight, and I hope that you will contact us and we can help you with information and finding the programs you're looking for, and definitely with funding.
Great. We do have a few questions, Mindy. There's one actually that will happen before summer programs. Someone's asking about spring break camps. Do you also include information about that on your website?
We do. And I'd love for you to give us a call or send us an email with your email address so that we can add you to our distribution. We always put that out in our weekly newsletter. We talk about all the spring break camps that we know are coming up, and we can help with funding for those spring break camps through our CARE vouchers.
Perfect. And then the next one is that some of the programs that come up on the searches say that they support individuals with special needs, but they may not actually understand what those needs are, in reality don't provide the appropriate supports. Do you have any suggestions as far as how they can find out more information about these programs to see if the support they provide is what the families actually need, if it matches that?
Absolutely. We always recommend that anytime you're considering signing your child up for a program, especially an inclusive program, that you talk to either the director of the program or an inclusion coordinator. If you're considering a Parks and Recreation summer program with St. Louis County, They have inclusion coordinators who help with all of that. They'll do an intake with a parent. They'll ask all kinds of questions to try to make sure that the staff is properly trained in what your child needs. And we always recommend doing this, meeting with the inclusion coordinator and telling them what might happen on a bad day. How they can best support your child if maybe they woke up late or they're having an off day. It's really important to know that. It's important for school to know that, and it's important for summer programs to know that as well, so that they can really set up success for your child.
And then some of the pre-submitted questions are kind of specific to the individual or the family, as far as my son is 4 or my son is 7 and has this diagnosis or enjoys these things. What would your recommendations be as far as finding the right camp fit? Would it be to go to your website and search, or would it be better to call the coordinator over the county that they reside in? What do you suggest, and what does that interaction look like?
Either of those would work. It's probably a great idea to give our coordinator in your county a call and just kind of get to know them and let them know what your needs are, what you're looking for. But for a child who's 4, if you're just looking, just some quick recommendations. Lohmeyer Sculpture Park in St. Louis County has summer camps for ages 3.5 and up. JCC, We Rock the Spectrum, they all have summer programs for that age group as well. And the YMCA has some programs. They typically start at 5, but they have some programs for younger than 5.
Okay, and then one that came in with the voucher programs, do you send the funding to the camp or is it reimbursement?
We can do it either way. For the programs that are that know us and have worked with us before, sometimes they can do it where we can only pay after the person has attended the program. That is one of our requirements by our funders. We can only pay after after the program is over. So some programs will allow us to pay them directly, and they just collect that 10% copay from the parent up front, and then we pay them after the child has attended. But others like POCA and YMCA typically can't do that. Their billing system isn't set up that way. So the family would pay first up front, and then we would reimburse the parent after the program is over. We can work it both ways. If it's a new provider for us, we can certainly give them a call and explore that with them.
And then as families are starting their search, is there a way to tell if some programs are already full so that they don't maybe waste time applying or calling these programs? What is the best way to find out? Is it through your website or some other website to find out which camps are already full or getting close to full?
They really would have to call that provider, since we work with the providers, the camp providers and the summer program providers, but we don't have access to that information. So I would call them directly. Certainly call us if you're interested in talking about maybe overnight camps and what camp would best meet your child's needs, or summer camps that might best fit your child's needs. Definitely give us a call for that, but I would definitely recommend calling the provider directly to see if they are full. I can say with certainty that Camp Barnabas, which is located near Branson, Springfield area in Missouri, they probably are the overnight camp that fills up the fastest.
And then if your loved one has higher personal care needs, like maybe they're not potty trained, is that something that you as the rec council would know, or should they call the camps directly to discuss that further?
They should definitely call the camps directly. I'm thinking that We Rock the Spectrum might be a good summer camp for a kiddo who is not yet potty trained. And for kiddos who have higher support needs, I had one question where, which camps can support children with high needs. For overnight camp, I would definitely recommend Camp Barnabas. They have like 5 doctors on staff at all times. They have a very, very large medical building, and they are very used to dealing with children and adults with very high medical support needs. So that would be a great one. If you're looking for a day camp for a child with higher support needs, Camp Circle Star is a wonderful camp for that. It's a day camp. They transport the children. I think it's near High Hill, and or yeah, and they will transport. They meet at a location in St. Louis every day of the Monday through Friday that the child is at camp, and then they take them to the camp. And it is a wonderful, really great camp for children of all kinds of needs.
Do any of these camps have trial days or weekends before the summer happens? So that way you know if your loved one would enjoy it, or can you do tours of any of the camps?
Many do, and we would recommend that they call the provider directly to see if they have something coming up or if they can set something up.